Hello, hello, Melissa B here. Welcome to another segment, I guess, of Carnivore Chats. Just wait and see who's going to jump on. Today we've got Josh Winkler coming on from the US. I'll just see if I can get him to jump on now and we can get started. When you're, let's have a look here. Hello to everyone jumping on. Say hi. Let me know where you're from. Great to see you all tonight. I hope that worked, Josh. Let's have a look. If you're there, Josh, I've sent you an invite, so you should be able to jump on any moment. Hi, Seppi. How are you? Nice to see you. I was thinking about you just the other day. Hey, Donna. We're just waiting for Josh to jump on. Let's have a look here. While we're waiting for unable to join. All right, guys, just hold on a minute. Let's try this again. Oh, yes. Perfect.
Good morning.
Evening.
Yeah, good morning for me, evening for you. Bright.
Exactly. How you doing? Nice to
Great.
see you.
You too. You too. Sorry it took me a second. I was trying to join, but I didn't see a request come through, so I requested it on your end.
Yeah,
So look,
no worries.
technology, it's fun to use, fun to learn, and sometimes it's a struggle.
Sure is. You either love it or hate it, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you for coming on. We've recently connected through the carnivore community, and it's been really great to see a bit of your journey and what you've been doing. And I guess we'll probably just start right at the beginning for you in terms of, how you came to the carnivore lifestyle and where
Sure.
it all started. How did it begin for you? What was happening?
Okay. Well, let me go back and give you a little bit of a background. First of all, thank you so much for having me on. It's
Welcome.
awesome. You know, the one thing that I've loved about the carnivore community is that it seems like more and more people just are ready to help each other and to share and encourage, versus some communities out there, it's like everybody's a bunch of haters.
Yeah.
So I do love the community that there is. It's funny. Years ago, I used to coach, and life happens, and I kind of let myself go. Got a dad bod, family, just doing the things,
Yeah.
and got to a point where I was extremely lethargic. And like when I say lethargic, I mean like the thought of going to get a ladder to change a light bulb was like overwhelming. It's like I have no energy. I
Yeah.
don't want to do anything. I just want to enjoy life.
Yeah.
So this was about a year and a half ago, and I started working with a vitality clinic, and my hormones were low. I had pain in my shoulders and joints, and so I got on some peptides. I got on TRT. I started exercising. I'm feeling pretty good. I started seeing some changes and feeling like, okay, I'm not doing too bad. Didn't see total transformation, but was able to move around, able to lift weights. I tried jogging, and I would hurt for 3 or 4 days. I'm like, all right, I'm old, I'm in my 40s now, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to lift, take it easy. Well, then I
Yeah.
started hearing about, I started hearing about autoimmune conditions, and my wife was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've always been, like I told you, I've coached, so I've always been like a nutrition, fitness enthusiast. I do research all the time. So I started looking at autoimmune conditions, and what we could do to help her. She actually has it in remission. She worked with a functional coach. And so that was super awesome. She had to go gluten free and dairy free and things like that. So in looking at always trying to figure out how to beat autoimmune and how to stay healthy and things like that, I found carnivore. Was thinking about carnivore myself, and through, to your point, several of the communities. I'm in the berries group, and saw Michaela and Jordan Peterson and some of their testimony around autoimmune, and so I was like, this is really intriguing. So I decided to give carnivore a shot, and I
Was that
was blown away.
was that for well? Is this for your pain, to manage the pain you were feeling at that point?
So, well, it wasn't like I wasn't really feeling bad. I was just like, well, let me try carnivore and see if I have inflammation. Let's see, what this does. And so for me, it was more so just let's take it to the next level. But what's interesting is after I started carnivore, number one, I didn't have to track. Before I was always tracking macros and things like that. So I'm like, okay, you don't have to track. Cool, let's give it a shot. What's the harm? So I started doing carnivore, and my teenage daughters actually jumped on board with me. They were like, oh, we'll try 30 days with you. We'll see what this is like.
Yeah.
So we start carnivore, and weight just starts falling off. I was exercising. I changed my routines up for exercising periodically. So I started doing a 6-day split and working each body group twice a week, higher rep ranges, and doing carnivore at the same time. Saw a massive transformation, lost a ton of body fat, didn't really lose any muscle. In fact, in 8 weeks, I think it was like 24 pounds that I lost, and I wasn't like terribly overweight, but I was right around 200 pounds, 202, something like that.
Yeah.
So huge transformation there. About 3 or 4 weeks in, I started trying to jog, and I thought, I hear all this about joints, carnivore Ray, his knee pain went away. I'm like, let me go ahead and give this a shot. So I started jogging a little bit, and I was like, my joints aren't hurting. Okay, let me jog a little bit farther, So now I can go out and jog 2 miles and not have the knee pain, the hip pain. So it's been incredible, seeing what carnivore's done for me, for mental health, my stability throughout the day, my energy, my sleep's better. What else? Obviously, the cravings are gone. That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here.
How long have you been on at the moment? Are you over
60. I think today's
Yeah.
63.
So
63 days.
months. So, yeah.
Yep.
And when you started, what kind of diet, or how was your nutrition when you started? Well, did you go for a keto, or you say
No.
you're quite healthy?
I went straight from basically eating whatever I wanted, just focusing on protein,
Yeah.
to doing, I've heard it called flexible carnivore. So basically, I was doing meat, or I still do meat,
Yeah.
eggs, full fat dairy, so butter. I do some heavy cream, and like if I have a coffee, or sometimes we'll make carnivore ice cream, but
Yeah.
not a ton of milk and cheese and things like that, very sparingly.
Yeah.
But I do still have some artificial sweeteners like stevia or Splenda. Like I'll do a Coke Zero.
Yeah.
I do sugar-free sauces and some seasonings. Now I did have to cut out black pepper, which was interesting because I have a condition. This is another thing I forgot to mention. I have a condition called eosinophilic esophagitis, which is basically where the esophagus gets inflamed, and food will sometimes get impacted and get stuck. And I went and got scoped multiple times. They've tried to stretch it. But black pepper is very high in oxalates. So started noticing when I was eating my eggs or eating steak, if I had black pepper, that it was having issues. So I switched to, sometimes I'll do white pepper, or sometimes I'll just do without it. And that's seemed to help as well.
Yeah. I stopped. Well, I just have salt,
Gotcha.
and I usually cook in like a suet or a tallow, not tallow, like an animal
Yep.
fat of some description. Usually I cook with. And yeah, I stopped pepper a really long time ago. So it's really just salt for me.
Yeah. And I
Mm.
do mainly it's for us, it's salt and garlic salt. We'll do garlic salt as well.
Yeah.
But so I do have some, flexibility now. I've thought about even taking some of that stuff out and just seeing what, how I feel. But it's been the results have been there and I've been feeling great. So it's not like, you know, for some people, I'm like, just stick with like more of a flexible style, get rid of the main pain points. And like, cause some people get overwhelmed, like, what? I can only eat meat and salt and water and that's it. Okay, well then don't start there. Start with what's going to be good for you and see how your body responds.
I think that's a really important point that I tell a lot of people, that there is no right or wrong in terms of how you approach it. You
Right.
just have to, it's trial and error. And I think you have to implement something and then really take notice of how your body
Hmm.
responds and how you feel. And then you add a little bit more, or you take something out, or you just spend the time trusting how you're feeling during that process.
Yep.
And then you get a good understanding of what your body needs and what that feels like to actually be eating a certain
Right.
way. And then from there, you take that feeling and let it fuel you to continue.
Yeah.
Uh, I wonder if, like, when you started, like, what was your expectation? Did you have expectations? When you started, did you have any expectations of what it was going to feel like, or like, were you
No.
surprised? Like,
I mean,
were you actually surprised, or
so, I'm glad you're saying, base it on how your body feels. Because for me, I'm pretty in tune with my body. And, I can tell when I have a lot of, had a lot of, I should say, issues in the past with my neck. And there's like joints in my spine that I can tell when they go out. Like I can literally tell, like, oh, yeah, like my C2 feels like it's like my C2 or a C3. I'll go to the chiropractor and they'll be like, yep, it's out, and they pop it in and I'm good to go, But if I don't go when I know it's going out, it's like, then I have problems.
yeah,
But I'm very in tune with my body. And, you know, I think back to like years ago when it would be like, oh, well, here, if you want to get in shape, you have to eat this many eggs and this much oatmeal and this and this and this. And I would do more of like a bodybuilding style diet. And the oats, I would stuff my face and be so full and so bloated and feel terrible. But it was like, but this is what you have to eat because this is what's expected. And it was more of a, this is what I have to do and not what I feel like. Where with carnivore, there were days that, I would wake up and I would feel good and I wasn't hungry. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to eat yet. And I would do some intermittent fasting and say by 11, I was starting to get hungry or maybe not till 1. So there were days that I would not like, oh, I can't eat until this time or I have to hit this intermittent fasting window, but more so just listening to my body and what felt good. And I think when you get to that point, like you feel good more often because you're listening to your body and you're being in tune. So
yes,
um, I think one of the biggest things for me, I've never been a person that can wake up easy in the morning. Um, I mean, never. Like, I could sleep 14 hours if I didn't have an alarm clock going off. And I think I've had adrenal issues in the past and, taken adrenal support supplements and then we get a little better and then I get back to being bad again. And I think on carnivore, that's one of the biggest things that I noticed was being able to wake up. My wife jokes and says, one of the side effects of carnivore is the bed's made every morning because it's like I'm getting up and I just, making the bed and doing things and just feeling great. And so, yes, definitely was surprised.
yeah.
Um, and another side note, not necessarily for my journey, but with my daughter starting, doing carnivore, my teenage daughter had her first, she's 17. She had her first pain-free period.
Yeah,
Had
yeah, good,
terrible, I
fantastic.
mean, like needing like heating pads and pain meds and, usually for a day or two to not having any pain.
Mm.
You know, and so for me, like obviously when you get old and you're going through things, it's like, okay, this is part of life. But when you're young and you're vibrant and you're dealing with those things, they're normalized,
Oh,
just like aging.
yes. Um, Although I haven't for some reason been able to upload my interview with Bella, we had a very similar conversation,
Mm,
and she's very passionate about this because she experienced this also
yeah,
in terms of her hormones and her cycle and how it's positively, changed things for her.
yeah,
And I was explaining to her too that it is a great side effect for women to become very regular and have, barely any pain at that time of the month,
yeah,
and it is really great, especially, I'll be 41 soon, and in my, say, 20s, it was so much worse, and this is where you just talked about age. Like, age is really just a number. How old do you
yeah.
really feel now? And
Um,
I would often say that to
it's
people,
crazy.
like, like I feel like I'm 18 because last time I felt like this, I was 18, and so it's not so much about how you look, and that's just a byproduct of what we're doing, the
Right.
choices we're making. But actually, that feeling, you cannot put a price on that. It's
Yeah,
really so important to be well, feel well, just have that vibrancy that we should all have at all the points in our lives. We shouldn't be saying or accepting the way
yeah,
we feel because of our age. Oh, well, I'm getting old. Oh, it's my dad bod.
yeah,
All that kind of thing.
yeah,
And
yeah. No, 100%.
I think also at the beginning, like, um, people like the idea of it, but they need to understand that it actually is a really big mindset slash willpower game in the start, I believe,
Yeah,
because you're really stepping into something so foreign with regards to, what diet, nutrition, and cuisine, how we've learnt to eat from quite a
hmm,
young age. So it's really a mindset game. You get over those 3 days for me usually.
yeah,
Like if I were to get off at some point in the past, it would take me 3 days to get back on and feel amazing.
yeah.
So I think for people the first week is so
I,
important. Once you get
I,
past a week or
yeah,
two, you know,
I have
you've
some tips too for that.
yeah. I was going to say, because it's been pretty recent for you. So for
Yeah,
those who are wondering how it was for you when you started,
yeah. So,
tell us
so
how you that.
if you understand how your body works, you
Mm,
can really overcome this pretty quick.
mm,
Number one, we eat so many carbohydrates that our body uses carbohydrates for fuel.
mm.
That's the preferential fuel. If there's carbs there, it's going to burn carbs. And
Yeah.
so when that happens, you get this, sugar spike, insulin spike pulls your sugar down, and it's this teeter totter all day long. Side note, I feel like that's where a lot of the mental stress and ups and downs in our moods come from. Another side note, along with my daughter's better cycles, they're also not fighting as teenagers, and even when they're on their periods, they're more friendly and they get along much better. So if you have teenagers, get them on carnivore if you want them to get along better. So we have that the sugar going up and down. So if you want to change over to be fat adapted, then obviously I have to stop eating the carbohydrates. Everybody gets that. You have to also look out for things like your electrolytes, because a lot of times people get what, we heard the term keto flu, where you don't have electrolytes, so you want to get your electrolytes in. Everybody knows that.
Yes. Hmm.
Now, the the tip that I have is to prime your body to burn fat for fuel and to get rid of the glycogen stores. Okay, what does that look like? In the beginning, I did things for the first few days, like in this one, you do have to have willpower because your body's still going to be going through the cravings and the hunger that it does when you're not fat adapted. But going longer periods of time without eating, adding in things like sprints if you can, lifting weights, getting activity in, lots of activity those first few days to burn up all the stores of glycogen that you have in your body. I would also even recommend not eating a lot of protein during these first few days. Wait, no, you need protein. That doesn't make sense. Well, if you're eating protein, your body can still convert the protein into glucose. That's why people that are fat adapted, now that I've been carnivore for a few months, I go to the gym, I get a pump. I go to the gym and my pumps are back. Well, how do you get a pump? You don't have any carbs. You don't have, the glycogen in the muscles. Well, your body makes it. It makes it out of the protein you're consuming. So if you cut back a little bit on the protein, do more like a true ketogenic type of diet, higher fat, lower protein, zero carb, go longer periods without eating, get the exercise in. If you are a runner, go for a long run, get all that glycogen burned out. Then as you start to see your energy kind of shift, then another thing you can do is say, okay, well, I'm really wanting to burn fat. So then pull out some of the fat out of your diet. And then where does the body go to get its energy? The stored fat. So I did some manipulation in the beginning in that first week. And then I kind of just settled into listening to my body. But those things that you can do to help get through the glycogen and kind of shift the way your body's burning. If you understand how it's burning it, it makes sense, and you can kind of intuitively do it without a ton of tracking either. It's not too hard to do, but you can get into fat adaptation a lot quicker.
Yes. Yeah, fantastic. That's good, because it is a challenging task for someone to jump straight into it. And there are easier ways to get there, I feel. I feel like going, elimination and then maybe jumping into keto and then going to carnivore. I mean, that's what worked for me.
Right.
And
I jumped head first straight in.
you're not the only one.
I would say well, I'm kind of one of those people that I jump all in to things anyway. It's easier for me to cut something out completely than to say, well, I'm just going to have, I'm going to go from, 5 cupcakes a day to 2. And then I get to the 2 and I'm like, well, I'll just do 3 today. It's like, it's this long drawn out conversion process. So a lot of times I'll just say, hey, I'm going to do it. I'm going to jump right in. And I honestly didn't have, by day 2, end of day 2, my cravings were gone. But again, I used some of those principles to kind of get myself primed, and it was easy. And my family, my wife, she's on carnivore now too. And we've all said, this is easier than restriction because you don't have the cravings, so it was a pretty seamless transition for us.
And how often are you eating in a day?
It still depends. Now that I'm pushing, because I'm really I lost a bunch of weight and now I'm trying to add muscle. So now I'm really trying to focus on getting at least 3 meals a day. And sometimes I'll do a protein shake. I have a protein powder that is made without heat. So it's not denatured, with very minimal ingredients, like 2 ingredients. So I'll use that periodically. But I'd say, 3 to 4 meals. But again, I'm trying to build, so I want the body to have the fuel it needs to build. When I was regularly doing carnivore, and focused more on losing weight, I would say it was more 2 to 3, and sometimes it would be 1. Just depending on how my body felt and the level of activity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I eat usually twice a day. My biggest meal is in the morning, and then I will usually have something around like late afternoon, and that will probably be it, or very early evening.
Gotcha.
And that will be it.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's good for sleep cycles too, because you're not digesting food.
I don't eat very close to sleep, bedtime. But I just want to talk about how you talked about your kids, and they're not young little kids, but I think sometimes we see a little bit of pressure put on parents. I've got 2 young kids; they're 9 and 11, and there's some pressure on parents, I feel, sometimes in terms of like what we allow our kids to eat or not. And You know, I never forget I think my mum really, you know, tried to push certain foods on me that were healthy
Right.
when I was a kid, and now I just hate them. And one actually being eggs. So I just can't eat eggs because when I was young, my mum really wanted me to eat eggs. And it's a real shame because I really wish I could eat eggs now. I just don't. And so now as a mother myself, I think all I can do right now, instead of forcing food on my kids, because it is really hard when they're young, they're at school and they're being influenced by others. Like, you know, yes, I buy the food, but I can't make them eat things,
Right.
you know. So I actually feel that leading by example as a parent, showing them what I'm doing, not forcing them to do anything or telling them they need to do what I do, actually helps them, you know, see what I'm doing, and then by them seeing that I'm doing it, they want to do it too. Like my daughter, I haven't said anything to her about eating a lot of meat, but when I'm cooking steak, she just wants to eat all my steak, and she's 9, you know, so she'll come up to me and just wait for me to slice her some nice little pieces of steak, and then she'll come and get seconds, you know, and I didn't tell her why that's, you know, why it's good for you. I didn't say
Yeah.
you have to or anything like that. So I think we need to give parents, especially, a little bit of a break. And, you know, it's tough. It's tough with regards to food and nutrition with kids with so much influence around
Yeah.
them. And leading by example, like you've done, like with your daughters, two?
2 daughters.
You have
Yeah.
2?
17
Yeah,
and
like
19.
so they see what you're doing, you know, they can see it's having a positive impact on you, and then they're doing it now. They're feeling the same. They're a bit older, so clearly they can make their own decisions. But
Right.
for younger kids, I think the best thing is leading by example.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. So, a couple comments. Number one, quick story. My oldest daughter, when she was, gosh, probably 6, you know, I was doing the whole proper parent thing of making them eat their vegetables, you know, and she didn't want to eat her broccoli, and just, you know, well, come on, you know, she's sitting at the table all night, you know, it's like, no, you got to eat your broccoli.
Yeah.
So, um, the next morning she gets up and she's like, Mommy, I don't like it. And she's like, What are you talking about? She's like, the broccoli. And she's like, What? And she's like, Yeah, I don't like it. She opens her mouth. She had stuck it in the side of her cheek and
Oh,
slept with it the entire night. Like, I'm like, how disgusting is that? Like, you have put yourself through hours of torment, or if you'd just chewed it up and swallowed it, it'd been over in like 2 seconds, you know? So yes, I do think, you know, we put our kids through things, not even like, you know, you're not thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm going to traumatize them, but just like, well, they gotta, you know, they gotta eat it. And I think to a point, you know, there's like the guidance that we need to, you know, put them in the right path. I've seen some people say, well, you know, I think it was maybe Sean Baker that posted something where a dietitian was basically like, I just let them eat whatever they want. I don't tell them no. And, you know, it's like, I think more restricting the sugar and restricting the bad food is probably more important than forcing down, well, you have to eat liver and this and that, you know. But I will
yes.
also say, like my youngest, she's never been a big meat eater. She doesn't really care for it. And when I started talking about carnivore and the benefits and the why and explaining it, she's like, well, I'm going to give it a try. And now she's like, look at me. You know, I'm eating, you know, I'm eating eggs and I'm eating all this meat. And she still like cuts around the fattier pieces because that just, you know, bothers her. But hey, she's eating steak. She's eating, you know, hamburger meat. She's eating chicken. And before
Fantastic.
it was like, I only want nuggets, you know, I don't want anything with the bone in it, you know.
Yeah.
So I do think
Yeah.
even younger kids like explaining like why, you know, like, well, this is going to help you grow strong. This is going to help support, you know, your body. Where this food over here won't.
Teenagers as well. I've known some stories of some teenagers having amazing results with their skin.
Yeah.
So if they even see the difference that it could have on their
Yeah.
skin, especially for a teenager who's quite conscious of that kind of thing,
Yeah.
I'm sure
And I
that.
think again, a lot of, well, and I don't know the exact mechanism, but I do know that I've seen a lot of things about people that cut out seed oils helping with skin and burning and cancer and things like that. So on some of it, it's like, is it because of all the good we're eating or all the bad we're avoiding? So again, coming to your child and saying, well, hey, these foods here are fried in an oil that's very poisoning to the body, and it's going to be there a while. The
Mm.
more we educate and the more we explain, if you've switched, it's going to be hard because they're going to be like, well, how come you've been eating McDonald's fries for so long and now they're bad? And it's like, well, I learned something new, and so now I'm making a change. And I think that's kind of a life lesson for everyone, and kids included, is that if we don't stop learning, if we don't stop growing and willing to say, okay, well, I was doing that wrong and now I got to change, then like you're never going to grow. You're going to stay the same your entire life. You're never going to see any kind of maturity and growth in your life. So it's one of those things we have to be able to say we were wrong and
Yeah,
move on, do something better.
absolutely. Well, I had somebody the other day say to me, that's really good what you do. I can see it's working for you. You must have really great willpower. I could never do it. And I just turned around and I said, listen, I'm not doing this because I have to do it. I'm actually choosing to do this.
Yeah.
And so the question to me really should be, why are you doing it?
Right.
Because if I'm choosing to do this, there must be a really important reason
Yeah.
why I'm choosing to eliminate most of the food I used to eat.
Yeah.
And nobody, like us, I've had one or two ask it to me in that way, but most people just can't comprehend the choice. And I just, again, let my actions speak louder than my words. Let the way I look, feel, interact with people,
Right.
my energy level speaks for me. And I think that's same with what you're doing. And a lot of people are doing online is sharing their stories because, why would you have an experience like this and not want to share it with other people?
Absolutely.
My intention and purpose is to help people to live and be better. And if there's something I'm doing that's helping me to be and feel like that, then why wouldn't I share that with others?
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're doing. It's great. You've been on for 60 something days. It's not that long,
Right.
but that just shows how quickly someone can change their life.
Absolutely.
That's how quickly you can change the way you look and feel.
Yeah.
You're a prime example of that. And we live in a world now where we can get, when you go to buy a product, don't you go and read a review,
Mm-hmm.
or you go to book a hotel? Aren't we reading through reviews? So why wouldn't we sit and listen to the stories of others and feel inspired to then take some informed or some action based on their experiences, and then make our own choices based on how it's influencing or impacting the way we feel or look, or how it's changing our skin or any kind of disease or illness or ailment. Because there's so many stories. I've got so many people in my network who are like that and having experiences like that. So
Absolutely.
you're doing
Absolutely.
well. What's your intention going forward now? You've got your own Instagram page now, and you're sharing your journey. Do you coach people? Are you a coach or?
So like I told you, I used to coach years ago, and now I've kind of shifted. I'm going to take on clients eventually. I'm going through a functional health coach certification, and I know a lot about how the body works and macros and training, and a lot of my friends hit me up on questions on peptides and the longevity space. I've studied this stuff for years, but right now I'm trying to use the social media platforms to get a lot of free content out there. That's the great thing about social media, is that you can share to a large audience. And, I just want to help people. I want to, going through seeing my wife have an autoimmune condition when she's worked out for years, she's, ate pretty healthy for years, and Now she has an autoimmune condition, and the autoimmune condition she has, if it wouldn't been put in remission, would have destroyed her thyroid. And it's Hashimoto's, and a lot of people that have Hashimoto's, that ends up happening, and they gain hundreds of pounds, and they're on synthetic hormone for the rest of their life. And it's like, and when she went to the doctor, it was like, oh yeah, you have this based on the blood test, which the functional coach requested that she get done, not the doctor, because the doctor's just not trained on it. So then we, get this back, and it's like, okay, well, once the thyroid's destroyed, then we'll put you on medicine. And the functional health coach said, we'll put it in remission. So, I mean, to see there's a better way, I want to get that information out. I'm going through my functional health coach certification because I want to be able to help people with the autoimmune conditions. I also feel like one of the reasons I saw the amazing results that I did was because I was doing some of the things like optimizing my hormones and the peptides and things that really accelerate. And do you have to do those things? No. Do you, I heard Dr. Jordan Peterson say in 2 years, his wife's injury went away. I didn't want to wait 2 years. Like, I had massive shoulder pain, so I use a peptide called BPC 157, and within 6 weeks, my pain was gone. So I think you can use some things to accelerate your results and help combat things like autoimmune conditions once you get down inflammation and things like that. I'm on low dose naltrexone. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's basically naltrexone is what they use for people that are addicted to drugs at a very high dose. It's like 50 milligrams, but I'm on like 4 milligrams, and that lowers inflammation. And that also helps with like the eosinophilic esophagitis. Could I just have waited and done carnivore for a year and maybe that went away? Maybe, but at the same time, there are things with very low to no side effects that you can do to speed up your recovery. I don't think you need to stay on that stuff though forever. And that's the difference. You can use things to aid in your progress. So obviously I want to share, as much as I can out there for free, because I think everyone should have access to information and be able to better their life. And then obviously for those that want a tailored customized approach and hand holding and a second set of eyes and analysis on what they're doing, then we'll have paid options for things like that. But that's kind of where I'm headed. I've been just kind of enjoying the journey, to be honest. It's not one of those things where it's like, oh, I have to get to this point in my body, or I have to get to this point in helping people, or I got to accomplish this goal. I'm just enjoying the process and enjoying the things that I'm learning and the things that I'm tweaking and changing. And I feel like I'm kind of improving a little bit every day, every week, and just really enjoying it.
Yeah, that's it. 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month at a time. Who were your biggest influences in the carnivore space?
Well, gosh, Dr. Barry was one of the biggest. He's one of the first ones that I saw. So Dr. Ken Berry and Nisha, Dr. Sean Baker, Dr. Paul Saladino, Dr. Anthony Chafee, Steak and Butter Gal, Dr. Elizabeth Bright, so there's so many out there that are really good. Carnivore Ray and Carnivore JT. It's like each one of them kind of have their niche. It's like I like seeing some of the guys that have transformed their body and got leaner and put on some muscle. It's like, oh, okay, I like how they're looking, and I like how Dr. Elizabeth Bright is talking about hormones, and I like how Dr. Anthony Chafee and Sean Baker are talking about performance and strength and stamina, and Steak and Butter Gal has such great information in her recipes, and so it's kind of like I'm gleaning a little bit from everybody, and then applying my own flavor, history, knowledge, to say, oh, that makes sense, or oh, well, that sounds good. I wonder if we could tweak this a little bit based on what I know over here, and it just kind of came together.
Fantastic. No, that's great. Some amazing people you mentioned there who are doing great things. So, fantastic. I think we'll probably end it there.
Okay.
Yeah. unless you've got anything else you'd like to share, or, we've got a big carnivore event happening over here in Adelaide, Australia, where I'm based. I'm hosting Carnivore Collective Live with a couple of people that you just mentioned, Bella and Dr. Chafee, going to be here live on stage. I actually had a lady today email me from America. She's flying over for the event. So
awesome.
I was just like, how amazing. She said, I've always wanted to visit Australia, and this is a great reason to. So she emailed me to ask me some questions. And I'm just like blown away by the amount of people who are really curious and excited to jump into a community in a space where people are able to learn from each other, as well as, support and just have aligned, vision and goals for their lives, and I love that for live events. I think we need to bring people back together, which I think is really important.
Absolutely. Love it. Definitely. There's a meetup, I think, in next year that I may do here in the States, but like I've not really done anything like that, where I've attended like a big group. Everything's been online, but like obviously I think when you can go and talk to people in person, the energies in the room, especially if you have a place that is catering an all carnivore food, then that makes it super easy. You don't have to worry about like, okay, what do I got to do for food?
When I was organizing this event, I thought to myself, there's a cafe downstairs and like a restaurant cafe, and we've organized a dinner in the evening for all the guests and the VIP guests with the guest speakers. And I thought to myself, where are 350 carnivores going to eat lunch within like 45 minutes to an hour? Like, where in the city? And the city is not big or really open that much on a Saturday. And I thought to myself, we better organize to offer carnivore lunches for everybody. And they are what we've offered. And I've sold so almost everybody is buying the carnivore lunch.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I'm so glad that we got onto that, because I think that's what going to be a huge hit for people. So I think I might have mentioned this to you also, that my intention is to bring Carnivore Collective Live to America next year.
Awesome.
We're looking at potentially April. So stay tuned. I'll have some more info on that when it gets closer.
Do you know where you're looking at? Like what locations?
Yeah, I'm not sure yet. Any suggestions?
Well, I know a ton of people do things here. I'm in Florida, so Orlando is like a really hot spot for conferences. A lot of times there's, tons of good hotels and things. I mean, there's tons and tons and tons of conferences in Orlando. That's got a really big international airport, and that's about 2 hours from me. So that's a good spot. I also hear Vegas is a big one, where people do conferences. But I love Florida, and you said you're talking about April. Yeah. See, I mean, if you did something in Florida in April, like the temperature would be great. It'd be a great spot. So, and we just moved to Florida about 3 years ago. So, it's not like I'm a lifelonger, but love it. I absolutely love Florida, and it's beautiful. And so
I actually have not been to the US ever. So, I'm getting
Australia.
You haven't? Okay, good. Well, I'll be there in April, and you can come here for Carnivore Collective Live in October when we come back and do it.
That'd be awesome.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story.
Absolutely.
And for supporting me and the community. You're doing amazing things. So everyone, go and check out your page and follow you and follow your story. I'm sure this is just the beginning for you. It's so early on. You've got, so much.
You're the first one. I've got two other interviews that I've been in contact about. So I'm excited. I love sharing the journey. Also, if anyone has questions, feel free to don't feel like you're bugging me. You can shoot me a DM. Love connecting with people for sure.
Fantastic. Good for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Have a wonderful day. And we'll keep in touch.
Absolutely.
See you next time.
Absolutely. It's been great. Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone that joined us. See ya.